Shit.
Hello everybody, Vape here, and today I'm going to talk about using e-juices and e-liquids in your Atmos Rx. Now in a previous video I had mentioned that you can use e-juices and e-liquids in your Rx, but I sort of glossed over it. I didn't really go in depth, the best ways to go about doing it and the definite ways not to do it. So let's take a minute in this video to show you those different techniques, and then you can get vaping with e-juices in your Atmos Rx without any need for attachments or adapters or things like that. Okay, so I have 3 brand new heating chambers here that are all made specifically for dry herbs, but I'm going to show you how you can definitely use e-juices and e-liquids for your Atmos Rx. So obviously the best method to get the absolute best vapor is going to be to get an attachment that's specifically for e-juice and e-liquid, and because most of these devices are 510 thread, the Atmos Rx is not. You would need to buy an adapter from the Atmos website, and then you'll be able to effectively attach a standard oil cartridge to the pen and then use it that way. But we're talking about do it yourself, don't spend any extra money, so let's talk more about that. Now the simplest method, 2 to 3 drops. That just means you're gonna dab just a little bit of oil into the chamber. You do too much and you'd overwhelm the heating coil. It would not be able to effectively vaporize the oil you put in there, and even worse, it could start leaking out of the side. But if you show some restraint and leave it at just 2 to 3 drops, so right onto the coil itself. That's 1 drop, 2 drops, and 3 drops. So you do that, and without any problem, it will heat up and produce vapor. I'll show you a demonstration with all 3 of these. So let's set our 2 to 3 drop tank over there for now. Next up, the cotton swab method. So I'm not sure if many of you are familiar with or not familiar with the technique of dripping e-juice directly onto a wick and then using that to produce vapor. It's usually done, with mechanical mods and things of that nature, but you can use the same premise in your Atmos chamber. So I, just take a cotton swab and, just tear off a tiny piece, pretty small, and you're just going to place that into the chamber. Stuff it down near the coil. You don't want it to be too big. You're going to block the airflow and the ability to really inhale anything. But then you just drop the e-juice directly onto this cotton swab. The benefit here is you're going to get more available e-juice and e-liquid to use without having to go back to the bottle and drip 2 or 3 more drops each time as the previous method. Also, since it's on the cotton and not being directly vaporized by the coil, the vapor is going to be just a bit smoother, so overall it might produce a slightly more pleasurable experience. Finally, how not to do this. This is why I wanted to do this video, just because I didn't explain it in depth last time, and I don't want anybody making a mistake with how they fill their chamber. So if you're not being conservative, you just drop tons and tons of liquid in there, way too much. That's way more than 2 to 3 drops. So, I'm pressing the power button. You don't hear anything because the heating coil is just overwhelmed and there's nothing it can do with that amount of liquid in there. It cannot vaporize this much liquid inside at once. Also, it's too close to the mouthpiece. You put the mouthpiece on and start to, breathe in. You have a big danger of, breathing it in, through the mouthpiece. And then the biggest problem that I was waiting for is it will leak out the sides if you put that much liquid in there. So definitely do not overfill it. So overfilled, don't do that. Okay, so I'm back to give you a demonstration on how these methods work. Again, we have the 2 to 3 drops first. I'll show you the cotton swab method next. I'm not going to bother with the overfilled method because it doesn't work, so there's nothing to demonstrate. So here, we still have just the 2 to 3 drops. So, as usual, just light it up and then inhale slowly. You can see you get a decent cloud of vapor, about the same that you would get from an Optimus V2. Not quite as much flavor as you'd get from, a tank that's dedicated to doing e-juice and e-liquid, but it's serving the purpose of vaporizing the oil, allowing you to inhale it. You get a little bit of flavor, but it's not, it's not going to be the same. It's not as crisp tasting, it's not as smooth. But if you want a simple method for getting e-juice and e-liquid vaped successfully inside of your Atmos tank, this is probably the easiest way to do it. But say those 2 to 3 drops really do go a long way. I mean, you can get several puffs out of this before you really need to apply any more juice. So that'll go on for a little bit. Next up, the cotton swab method. Again, the benefits of this method are you can drop a lot more e-juice into the chamber because the cotton's going to hold it, and then the heating coil will heat up the cotton, which in turn heats up all of the oil, and then you can vaporize that. Very similar to the drip method of, some of the mechanical mods out there. And remember, just make sure you don't pack too much cotton in there. You're gonna block the air paths that let you inhale, so you won't be able to effectively get a hit. So not too large a swab of cotton. So, even with this method, I'm not getting a ton of flavor, but it is better than the other method in the sense that you're putting more juice inside the tank, and it's just a little bit smoother when you inhale it. So that's it. If you want a free do-it-yourself method of getting your Atmos Rx or Junior to be able to vaporize e-juice and e-liquid without buying attachments or adapters, this is pretty much how I would do it. So I hope this helps you guys out. As always, if you want to find these products, you can check out www.vapethatstore.com. And as always, stay tuned to this channel for more tips and reviews, and I'll see you guys next time.